My name is James Kirkbride and I'm the co-senior author of this research study. This research was conducted jointly between the Division of Psychiatry at UCL and the Department of Public Health Sciences at the Karolinska Institute. We already know that compared with the majority group in a given population, migrants and their descendants have an increased chance of experiencing psychotic disorders, including schizophrenia. On average, this risk is about 2.5 times greater, though it does vary by ethnicity. For example, migrants and their descendants from Black African and Black Caribbean origins may be up to 5 times more likely to develop a psychotic disorder than the majority population in a given setting, including in the UK, Netherlands and Sweden. So in the present study, we wanted to ask whether refugees who might have gone through particularly traumatic experiences in their lives were at increased risk of developing schizophrenia and other psychosis beyond that experienced by other migrant groups. We asked 2 questions. First, was the risk of schizophrenia or other psychosis in refugees increased compared with the native-born population in Sweden, where we conducted this research? The native-born population was defined as people born in Sweden to 2 Swedish-born parents. Our second question was whether the risk in refugees increased compared with other migrants who came from the same region of origin. To answer these questions, we used data from Sweden, which has health and migration records on the whole population going back several decades. Sweden also accepts the largest number of refugees per capita of any European country, making it a suitable place to conduct this research. We included anybody born after the 1st of January 1984, alive and living in Sweden on or after their 14th birthday. We traced these people until the end of December 2011, and our population included migrants who arrived in Sweden at any point. In total, our study included over 1.3 million people, of whom 3,700 experienced a first diagnosis of schizophrenia or another non-affective psychosis. We only included migrants from regions where there were sufficient numbers of refugees to make comparisons. In our study, we found that non-refugee migrants were nearly twice as likely to experience schizophrenia or other psychotic disorders compared with the Swedish-born population, in line with previous research. For refugees, however, this risk was even higher, nearly 3 times the rate in the Swedish-born. In fact, refugees were 66% more likely to experience schizophrenia or another psychosis compared with other migrants from the same region. These differences could not be explained by important alternative explanations like differences in age, sex, income, or urban residency. While risk of schizophrenia was raised for all migrants and refugees, it was greatest for people from sub-Saharan Africa compared with the Swedish-born group. Interestingly, as the overall risk for migrants and refugees became larger, the relative differences between refugees and other migrants became smaller. You can read more about this in the paper. Our results have a number of important implications. In particular, they suggest clinicians and mental health service planners in countries receiving large numbers of refugees should be aware of this additional psychiatric vulnerability on top of the range of other social, physical and mental health needs of these vulnerable groups. More broadly, our research indicates that psychosocial adversity experienced before, during or after migration may be important in determining the onset of psychosis. There were a few limitations of our study. Our results were generally stronger for men than women, and we only had data up to the end of 2011, meaning we could not directly study those people caught up in the current humanitarian crisis in Syria, North Africa, and Eastern and Southern Europe. You can read more about our findings at the BMJ. This work was supported by grants from the Wellcome Trust, the Royal Society, and FORT, the Swedish Research Council.